everyone, welcome to Case Corner. Today, I will tell you a story titled, Where is Mr. Frog? Once upon a time, lived a young boy named Edward. Edward has a dog. It is a golden retriever dog named Haku. At one night, where the crescent moon shining beautifully, Edward spent the rest of his evening with Haku. They admire a frog. Edward has a frog that plays in a jar made out of glass. Finally, it's bedtime. Edward go to bed with Haku. They both fell asleep peacefully. In the middle of the night, the frog sneaked out of the jar. Edward didn't put the jar's lid before he go to bed, so the frog could sneak out easily. The frog jumped out of the window in Edward's room. In the morning, Edward woke up and found out the frog is missing. Oh no! Where is Mr. Frog? He's confused. Edward feels sad because he lost the frog. Then, Edward and Haku search for Mr. Frog. They search for it everywhere. Under the bed, inside the clothes, they even check on the shoes. But they couldn't find it. The room gets really messy because of them. Haku tried to find Mr. Frog in the jar. He is curious. Who knows Mr. Frog has a secret room, right? So, he put his head to the mouth of the jar. Unfortunately, Haku's head got stuck. He couldn't take it off. But Edward didn't notice it. In the meantime, he is still looking for Mr. Frog. He calls Mr. Frog by shouting from the window, "Mr. Frog! Mr. Frog, where are you?" he said. Haku is curious by what Edward's doing, so he climbed to the windowsill. But the windowsill is slippery because of the morning dew. Haku slipped and he fell to the ground. The jar in Haku's head is broken once it touched the ground. Edward is startled because of Haku. He is unhappy because Haku broke Mr. Frog's jar. Haku, look what have you done. Come, we have to find Mr. Frog and bring him back home. Edward and Haku continue to find Mr. Frog. They walk out of the house and go to the backyard. Mr. Frog! Mr. Frog! Come back! They're shouting for Mr. Frog while they're walking. After a few moments of walking, they arrived in a hole near a beehive. Edward is trying to look for Mr. Frog in the hole, and Haku got distracted by the bees. Meanwhile, Haku is playing around the beehive, Edward trying to look deeper into the hole. Suddenly, a mole popped up. Turns out, it's a mole nest. The mole looks unhappy because Edward is trying to peek into its house. Edward is shocked. I think Mr. Frog is not in here, said Edward. Haku gets really excited because of the bees and he accidentally shakes the beehive's tree too much. The beehive fell to the ground and it made the bees angry. The bees started chasing Haku and they make him run to the woods. But again, Edward didn't notice of what Haku's doing. Edward is still looking for Mr. Frog to another hole. He started checking the hole in a tree near the beehive's tree. But suddenly, an owl popped up and Edward fell from the tree. Then, Edward saw the bees chasing Haku. "Oh, Haku, wait!" said Edward. He follows the bees to help Haku. The owl follows him to the wood and it scares him. Edward drives away the owl. Then the owl flies away and it stands still in a branch of a tree. After the owl stops bothering him, he climbs a pile of snow. He holds a twig to help him stand and find Haku. Where is Haku? Said Edward while searching for Haku from the pile of snow. After a few moments, the twig that Edward held is lifting him up. It's not a twig, it's a reindeer. The reindeer is confused because now Edward is hanging on his face, and Edward is blocking its vision. So the reindeer ran to the edge of a cliff to remove anything that covered his face. Haku is already free from the beast, and then he saw Edward and the reindeer. So he follows them to the cliff. The reindeer threw Edward to the cliff. Edward fell, and so do Haku. Luckily, the cliff is not that high. They both fell into a shallow river. Edward sits in the water, and he started to hear a sound. Shh! Listen! What is that? Edward told Haku to stay silent so they can search for the source of the sound. Edward and Haku start to search the source of the sound. They climb a log that sprawls near them. When they meet the other side of the log, they see a frog. Oh, hello, said Edward. But not just one frog. There are two frogs. And good afternoon, another frog, said Edward. And then they looked to the other side and they found a bunch of mini frogs. And one of them is Mr. Frog who sneaked out of Edward's room. Oh, there you are, Mr. Frog. We've been looking for you all day, said Edward. Mr. Frog looks happy when he meets Edward and Haku. He jumps to Edward's hand. Come on, Mr. Frog. I think Mama baked blueberry pie for dinner. We shall not be late. Then they bid their goodbyes to the Frog family and they bring Mr. Frog back home. The end. So, how's the story? I hope you like it. Thank you for listening and see you on the other video.